Hi, I'm Todor, and this video covers my chosen placement year as an intern design engineer in software development. I'll talk about my work experience with Slipstream, and I'll break it down into a few key aspects that make this year both challenging and rewarding at the same time. I'll start with onboarding and professional development aspect, where Slipstream provided me a great structure for me to ease into the role. I had access to different targeted training sessions that helped strengthen my professional skill set early on. Team communication was a standout aspect of my experience. I was working closely with hardware, RF, and software engineers in different projects. We held daily morning scrums to keep everyone aligned with daily progress or issues along the way. And I had regular one-to-one sessions with my line manager, which were great for mentorship and feedback. Our project teams met weekly or bi-weekly depending on the pace of development, which helped maintain momentum and achieve deadlines together. The social side of the job also made a huge difference. Knowing your team better is always an advantage at the workplace because it helps with communication and makes the whole environment more friendly. We had multiple evening outings with colleagues and a particularly memorable team day in the Yorkshire Dales in September. I also had the opportunity to deliver presentations both internally to Slipstream staff and externally to business partners, which helped grow my confidence and communication skills. Now I'll talk more about the foundational knowledge and software tools that I developed. This year taught me a lot about good coding practices and version control. I gained invaluable hands-on experience using Git and GitHub and became much more comfortable working with Linux-based operating systems and developing software in that environment. I got exposure to some of the core programming languages used in the RF field like C and C++, C#, and Python. I was also introduced to software-defined radios, specifically the Adam Pluto and the Slipstream's custom-built Astro software-defined radio. I learned how to use the new radio tool and how to develop custom out-of-tree blocks for it with the C programming language. I also familiarized myself with RF SOC concepts, which stands for Radio Frequency System on a Chip, and began to understand where they're used in real-life applications, like in the space satellites, for example. One of the big milestones for me was getting my first experience with FPGAs and taking my first steps in learning low-level HDL languages, as well as using the AMD tools like Vivado and Vitis. In terms of software development and engineering practice, I worked on processing IQ data and helped develop digital IQ generator algorithms. A big highlight was designing a custom packet standard for transmitting IQ data, using existing RF field practices as a guide. I had the chance to build complete GUI applications by designing them from scratch and using different programming languages for the different components and features. These apps used name pipes for communication between parent and child processes, and in some cases I implemented network protocols and developed back-end drivers to enable device-to-device communication. I also learned how to develop and compile DLL files and then import them into projects. I also spent time reverse engineering existing projects to understand them thoroughly and apply modifications as required. This was very challenging, but a very good experience. Another significant learning curve was working with multi-threaded applications. I learned ways to avoid race conditions, especially when processes share resources like global variables, for example. This often involved introducing calculated time delays or using mutexes for mutual exclusion, which ensured the system runs smoothly without any conflicts. Lastly, I got some valuable hands-on hardware experience when working in an ESD-protected lab environment and performing delicate board modifications, including soldering microscopic components. I became comfortable reading and interpreting schematics and datasheets, and I learned how to use high-spec oscilloscopes to support my testing and validation work. In conclusion, this placement gave me a deep and practical understanding of software development within an engineering context, especially in the RF space. It helped me build a solid foundation in both software and hardware, and I'm incredibly grateful for the experience and the support I received from the team at Slipstream. Next, you'll hear from some of my colleagues about their experience working alongside me. Thank you for watching, and I hope this gave you a good insight into my placement year.
Todor's grown to present himself in a very professional manner. His confidence has always been good when it comes to presentations and public speaking, but the support and knowledge and expertise from his time at Slipstream has really pushed this to the next level. Around the workplace, Todor actively seeks opportunities for improvement in any areas that he's involved in. So this has ranged from lab improvement items, for instance the overnight and long-term testing notices, to more general office health and safety type activities, so involvement with fire alarm suggestions and observations there as well. In terms of more subtle soft skills, Todor has really pushed himself when it comes to setting objectives and targets for himself. With only a few prompts and suggestions from myself and others, and using the SMART framework for setting objectives, he can form well-defined and polished objectives that are well aligned with both his technical goals and the specific business objectives. Todor is really easy to work with. His clear communication style makes conveying topics and their detail really straightforward. He can get his point across quickly and effectively, which is particularly important when it comes to fast-paced problem solving. He has a keen interest in the technology and the sector that we work in, and a genuine curiosity for understanding how things work. Alongside this, he's proactive and he always seeks for opportunities to improve, both in his own work and the environment that he engages in. When it comes to research and independent working, Todor is resourceful. He makes use of the relevant information and maintains references to sources as required. His extracurricular study, so outside of the workplace, shows his dedication and interest in the area that we work in. He's not afraid to ask questions and directs them to the relevant people with the right experience as he needs. Todor's background interest in electronics has provided him with a really good level of mutual understanding when it comes to exploring and explaining specific topics at work.
Todor has worked single-handedly to implement a major GUI for an external-facing demo. This consists of software running on a host computer with interfaces with existing hardware and firmware to create additional functionality and demonstrate the full capabilities of the platform that Slipstream are developing. He has worked closely with myself with minimal input to create an intuitive user interface and work through standard data packetization methods. He asked the right questions to gain further information to progress the task at hand. His clear communication when working with others has helped to simplify complex structures and minimise confusion. Todor has also taken several major steps in terms of progression of the company's version control process, such as applying new GitHub policies and procedures to the projects he has worked on. This experience will be used to further inform the development of our internal processes.